Hello, I am Patricia Neal, and I am a stroke survivor. I know firsthand how dependent we are when we become disabled for simple things like getting from one place to another. As patients improve, they need help moving about. This is part of recovery, but most of us, patients and caregivers, are intimidated by these maneuvers. Therefore, I am very pleased to introduce this video series on the movement aspect of caregiving. Each video presents a simple concept for making lift-free transfers. We can offer only a few examples in this short preview. But used in the course of everyday nursing, these transfer techniques can reduce injury to your staff and speed recovery of your patients.
It's the role of the rehabilitation team to help the patient with independent functioning. The job of the physical therapist in particular is to help patients with transferring, moving, sitting, standing. The rehabilitation team needs to work with the family. It's important to try and decrease the distress that the family has. Frequently, the family is extremely concerned about safety, what precautions they must take, the effort involved in moving a patient, for example. How can they best provide this in a way that's not distressful to them, safe for the patient, and can actually begin to help in the rehabilitation process. It's not enough to just try to get a person to walk, but you want the person to be able to move in bed, to be able to get up and down in bed, and you want the family members to be able to contribute. Frank Hatch and Lenny Maeda have been working with families and professionals throughout Europe for the last 15 years, teaching them how to interact with disabled patients. Every transfer situation is unique, but 6 basic principles will guide you in moving any patient.
So today we're going to teach those principles to you. We're going to get the skills that those principles imply. It's not enough just to know the name of the principle. You have to be able to do something with it.
You want to organize your body so that you're moving towards the direction your body can move in the direction we want to take him. Put your hand way over on his chest and pull diagonally up. Diagonally up. Okay, that way. Now put your hand on his pelvis and push it diagonally up. And he's up a step in the bed.
Definitely. All right, the next principle that we want to make you aware of and help you understand and become capable of using is the idea that you do not ever want to lift weight. You want to transfer weight so that it stays on its supporting surface. Now, in order to illustrate that, let's ask Vince to lie down here on the floor. He's a pretty big guy, and we're going to show you that you don't have to lift Vince's weight in order to get him to stand up. You can leave the weight on the floor all of the time.
And we do that by, once again, using the first concept of moving his masses one at a time.
Back sprain is by far the leading cause of injury or illness in healthcare settings. Your primary and overriding concern is to prevent injury to the patient and to yourself.
Do the next step of bringing his chest and his head weights onto his pelvis. Now, the tendency that most of us have is when we want to stand somebody up, that we get behind them and we lift them towards the ceiling. But when I do that, I take the weight off of the supporting surface and I put it upwards.
And she puts it on her back.
Yeah, it comes onto my
and
back.
And it becomes very dangerous. This is the place where most people hurt themselves when they're trying to lift somebody from a position on the floor to standing.
And so instead of doing that, I'm going to help Vince shift his weight from his pelvis down to his feet. And I'm going to do that by pulling on him. And I pull him so that his weight moves farther and farther down until he can stand up. And what happens is that the masses of his body stack over each other.
As with all examples shown, modification for disabilities may be necessary. A frail patient or one with flaccid or paralyzed arms, for example, would be pulled by the chest rather than by the arms.
Now you see, you're not expected to do therapy with your family member. That's what the professionals do. What you are expected is to go on and recreate the kinds of interactions and the kinds of functions that make a daily life in the family possible.
I want to stay in my own apartment, and my greatest trouble was trying to get in and out of the bath.
Mildred Sears has chronic joint disease. Despite the pain, Mildred makes a determined effort to remain mobile and live at home.
He has brought me a long way in the bathroom, and my bathroom is very small. And as you see, I'm not a tiny person at all.
So you always want to look to see, how can I make this three-dimensional movement from one position to another position? Now let's do this with Mrs. Luster. Frank, can you move over here for a minute? And I want to show you how you can get out of these chairs without having to just move straight forward. Would you put this leg a little bit further forward, and you're going to put this hand on the chair down here on the seat. And then you're going to turn and you're going to put this hand over here. And you're going to keep turning, look back over your shoulder over here, and notice how easily you come to standing. That's a lot easier than just lurching straight forward, isn't it?
It is your patient's ability, not disability, that counts. So he or she should use any abilities that still work, while you compensate for those that don't. So principle number 3 is, do movements with, not to, him or her.
You use me on the side that's weak, and I'll use you on the side that's strong, and together we're going to walk from this wheelchair over to that chair and sit down, okay? Okay, so first I want you to walk to the edge of the chair. So come out a little ways to this edge. Now come on this side, and we're going to walk a little ways to the other side. No, hold on a minute. Can we come to this side a little bit so that your butt's out this way? Now this one once again. Okay, now spread the legs just a little bit, and we're going to take a step onto your strong leg. I'm going to put my foot right here, and I want you to put your arm on my shoulder, okay? All right, now together we're going to stand. All right, so we both did that standing. All right, now I'm going to come over on this side of you so that I can get hold of your hand here. I've got hold of your chest. I've got my pelvis against your pelvis, and I'm going to bring your weight onto me. Now, see, now you take a step. Now I give your weight over to that leg, and you take a step. Now the weight comes to me, and you take a step. Now the weight comes to your strong leg, and you take a step with your weak leg. Now I take your weight onto me, and you take a step. That's it. We've talked about 6 basic principles. The first one is to move only one mass at a time. The second one is to always leave the weight on the ground. Don't ever try to lift the weight. The third one is to do everything together. Don't ever do anything to somebody. The fourth one is to organize the environment so that it's easy and safe. The fifth principle is to move between basic positions in spirals in 3 dimensions. The sixth principle is to pull and push in order to keep your contact. Now, if you'll stand up a minute, Vanessa, I'm going to show how even you can move your dad without lifting.
Instructions for practice sessions conclude each video. Each concept builds on the previous ones. As transfers become progressively easier, I am convinced that this video series will be invaluable to caregivers and indispensable to your training program. These transfer techniques can reduce injury to your staff and speed recovery of your patients. The way we communicate through touch and movement has a profound impact on our patients. It is crucial in motivating them to relearn lost skills. Your encouragement, expressed through skilled handling, is a healing influence.